Let's see the Shulchan Aruch. Sif Aleph. Tzitzis choivas gavrohu v'lo choivas mona. We've already, the Mishnah Berurah already discussed it, and now we're going to see it in the Shulchan Aruch. It's a chiyuv on the person and not on the beged. Shekol zman she'eino loivesh hatalis poter mitzitzis. If he's not wearing the talis, it's poter from tzitzis. Right? If it's just lying in his on the shelf and he's not wearing it, there's no chiyuv to have tzitzis on it. Therefore, he doesn't make a bracha when he makes the tzitzis, because the mitzvah is to wear the tzitzis. We make a bracha when we wear the tzitzis, not when we make the tzitzis. Making the tzitzis is called a hechsher mitzvah. It's to allow you to do the mitzvah. You make a bracha on the actual mitzvah, which is wearing it.
That's the same reasoning for no bracha for building a sukkah?
Right. Okay, let's have a look at the Mishnah Berurah of cotton base. Potter mitzitzis. Avagav dichsiv v'osu lohem tzitzis. There's one pasuk that says you should make for yourself tzitzis, which sounds like the mitzvah is the making. I'll come to a big day. B'komokum meidichsiv ko achrina gedilim ta'aseh lecho gedilim ta'aseh loch al arba kanfos ksuscho asher techaseh bo mashma dafka kishem iskaseh bo. There's a pasuk that says that you put tzitzis on your garment asher techaseh bo, which you've been covered with. From there we learn asher techaseh bo is dafka when you're being covered by the garment, when you're actually wearing the garment. That's when the mitzvah is. That's dafka asher techaseh bo, when you're being covered with the garment. When you're wearing the garment, that's the mitzvah. And therefore, if you're not being covered by it, you're allowed to own a full garment without tzitzis. There's no problem.
In this translation, they're making a reference not to a sheet but to a shroud.
No, shroud is the next. Where are you?
Oh, are you on bait?
No, I'm in. I'm in the Mishnah Berurah of cotton base.
Okay.
Sorry, we're not the Shulchan Aruch. We're in the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah of cotton base.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see about shrouds in a minute. Yeah, Mishnah Berurah of cotton base. Right? It says it's the pasuk asher techaseh bo. When you're covered by it, when you're wearing it, that's when you have to put tzitzis on. Mishnah Berurah of cotton gimel. So we said that you make a bracha there's no bracha on making the tzitzis, there's only one wearing the tzitzis, because the mitzvah is to wear. It says the Mishnah Berurah of cotton gimel, God Soloima, be'is hatolosim ba'beged, when you put them on the beged, then then you don't make a bracha. Rather, later, when he actually wraps himself in the talis, then he makes a bracha on wrapping himself in a talis. If they snapped when he's wearing it, he has to take it off and fix the tzitzis, make new tzitzis, and then put a new bracha on when he puts the talis back on, even if he puts it on straight away. So cotton talis, ela b'lifishosoi, v'hu adin b'mezuzah. It's the same halacha with a mezuzah. Tekamon choivas hadorhi. A mezuzah is not a chiyuv on the house; it's a chiyuv on the person living in the house. Therefore, if he's not living in the house, it's like the garment of tzitzis that he's not wearing. It's just like on the shelf, he's not wearing it. Wearing the garment and living in the house are parallel. If he's not wearing the garment or living in the house, then there's no mitzvah. There's no mitzvah to have a mezuzah on the house if he's not living in it. And therefore, if he's going to move into a new house, he doesn't put up mezuzahs before he moves in, because it's like the tzitzis still being on the shelf. Rather, when he moves into the house, immediately that's when he makes the bracha. That's like putting on the garment of tzitzis. Moving in, walking in to live in the house, that's like putting on the garment, that's when you make the bracha.
But it doesn't matter whether he's resident to the house.
No, we're talking about when he's moving to be resident in the house. Not someone.
No, what I'm saying is, let's say he's resident to the house, leaves the house for 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. Since he's still the owner or resident of the house, even though he's not in the house, the mitzvah is still in effect.
Seeing if he's moved out for 6 months, there's no chiyuv to have any mezuzahs on the doors of the house. In theory, there's no chiyuv to have a mezuzah in the house. There's just a practical problem, which is you're not allowed to take down mezuzahs.
Right.
But in theory, there's no chiyuv to have mezuzahs on the house, and he's not making the mitzvah deraisa of having a mezuzah. Sorry?
Blessing a guy is moving in.
Yeah, we're talking about where he's
absent from his house for.
He's going to
6
Florida
months.
for the.
But he leaves his
winter.
possessions there and everything else in the house. during
No,
the
but if
6
he's not
months.
living
That's-
there,
yeah,
he's
it's
not
not
living there.
living.
If he's not living there, then there's no chiyuv. There's no chiyuv mediraisa. It's not becoming the mitzvah deraisa of having a mezuzah. Wherever he's living at that time, during those 6 months, wherever he's living, that's where he has to have the mezuzah. Right? So here we're talking about when he's moving into the house, when he moves into the house, when he enters the house to move in, not just enter the house.
So I picked a dramatic length of
Yeah.
time, 6 months, right? So on the other end, what if he's away overnight? During that time he's away overnight, he doesn't have to have mezuzah in the house?
If he's not there for one night,
I mean, the stamina is still called living.
if he's away for one night,
I'm trying to figure out where
Yeah,
the
what
split is.
point are you no longer living?
That, 6 months was intended to be a long time.
Right. I think people vacation for a week, 2 weeks.
how long is it outside? Yeah, this is only a theoretical question, we said, because practically speaking, there's not allowed to take down the mezuzahs.
Yeah, he's coming back.
The
he's
theoretical
never going
question
over
is he
again.
mekayim a mitzvah with the mezuzah on that house or not? I'm not sure. Normally in terms of living, with the period of time is usually 30 days. I'm not sure if it's relevant here, but usually with defining where one lives, we usually define it as 30 days.
Right.
It could be has to be out in the house for 30 days. I'm not sure.
Right.
It's an interesting question. If he's not there that night, is he being mekayim a mitzvah with the mezuzah on the door of the house where he's not there?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
There's some point where he isn't, obviously,
Mhm.
between
Right.
one night and 6 months.
Right.
Probably 30 days makes sense, actually.
Okay.
It is when it's used.
Okay, let's move on now. Let's read Sif Beis. Now we're going to find out about the shrouds. Shulchan Aruch Sif Beis. Also talis letzorch tachrichin. Afa pi shelo yivshoi lif'omim b'chayav potter. He made the talis for the purpose of being buried. Right, that's shrouds. Wants to be buried in it. He's already prepared it. Prepared his talis for burial. Even though he wears it sometimes during his life, he puts it on occasionally when his other pair is dirty. It's potter from tzitzis. Right? Why? Let's have a look at the Mishnah verse of Cotton Hay. Mishnah verse of Cotton Hay, potter. Achoinim maski de dafke le das horosh. The poitel el b'sim ches ksus hamiuchad alayla afilu bayom. We're comparing it to the din of the Rosh, right? Death is like one
darkness.
Right, one long night. Death is like one long night, and therefore it's going to be told in the Machekas Rosh and Rambam. Right? According to the Rosh, that a beged which is miyuchad to wear at night, right? According to the Rosh, it's told on the beged, on the garment. According to the Rambam, it's told it's dependent on when you wear the garment. So according to the Rosh, it's dependent on the actual garment. The garment is a garment which is set aside for death, which is nighttime, like nighttime. So it's a ksus hamiyuchad lelaylo. It's like a garment which is set aside primarily for wearing at night, and therefore even if he wears it during the day, it's potter according to the Rosh. Right? So therefore these shrouds, even if he wears them when he's alive, it's a miyuchad lelaylo, and therefore it's potter.
So you don't have to round the edges,
See there?
the corners.
Because the dead person is potter for mitzvahs. However, according to the Rambam, who holds that it depends when you wear the garment, and even if it's a garment which he wears generally at night, if now he's wearing it during the day, it's chayav and tzitzis. So too in this case, it's the same, even though it's set aside for after death. However, if he's wearing it now during his life, he's chayav. And therefore, the halacha, if someone was to do such a thing, we paskin that we're choishish to the Rambam, which means that one should put on tzitzis. However, he doesn't make a bracha on it. The same as if one's wearing, same thing as we said about someone who's wearing a garment set aside to wear at night, and now he's wearing it during the day. He puts on tzitzis without a bracha. So too with the shrouds. People who are selling clothes, and now they're just they're putting them on to show the buyers, show the potential customers the size, to show them how That's the garment stuff, right? So he's putting on the garment to show off the garment. Peturim, they're potter from tzitzis. Right? Why they're potter from tzitzis? Because they're not intending to wear the garment. They're just intending to demonstrate the garment. Right? They're being the dummy, the mannequin. Right? They're not really wearing the garment. Therefore, they're potter from tzitzis. If he's wearing them because the tax, you're being taxed on the belongings you bring in, and therefore clothes you're being clothes that are worn are not taxed, right? And so so he's putting on the extra clothing, he's putting a few extra layers so that there's less things being taxed on, right? This is comparable to anyone who's ever been in an airport and he's got 22 kilos in his suitcase and he needs to get it down to 20, so you just put on a few extra layers and then you're someone showed me a clip of someone invented a bag, right? And the bag, you unzip the bag,
and you can wear it.
It's got sleeves, and you can put it on. Right? So you see him going up. They've got a homemade video of him going up to the EasyJet desk, and he's got puts his bag on, 20 kilos, fine. Then they ask him, "What's that other bag you've got there on the?" He said, "No, that's my coat." Yes, my coat. He unzips it, puts it on. It's got all these big pockets, big bulky pockets on the side. So okay, so if he's putting the garment on in order to avoid the tax, so then he does have to put on tzitzis because now he's wearing it as a garment. Right. The whole point of the tax is that if you're wearing a garment, then it's not taxed. So he's wearing it as a garment. Right. So here he's wearing it as a garment, and therefore it has to have tzitzis. Right? Okay.
He has another element to his suitcase that he's wearing on his back.
Okay, let's move on. Siman Chof. Dine lekichas u'mechiras talis. Okay, Siv Aleph. Halakech talis mitzuyetzas miYisrael. If one buys a talis, a garment with tzitzis on from a Jew, or mitago eino Yehudi, or from a goy who is a merchant, that's his job, buying and selling. When he says he bought it from a Jew, the guy says bought it from a Jew. Kosher is kosher. Seeing as he's a merchant, that's his job, buying and selling, we believe him that he bought it from because he's not going to risk his business. He knows if he starts lying, the guy knows, the Gentile knows that if he lies, and then he's going to lose his business. Right? So therefore we believe him. But if he bought it from a guy who's not a merchant, then it's possible. I mean, we assume that it's possible. Okay. This is not so relevant nowadays. Of course, everything comes with a hechsher, so generally you don't have this problem. You would have a
although this policy actually applies in kashrus.
Yes.
You know, there are many situations where there's a minimal amount of oversight, sometimes for very huge companies, because of the damage it would do if they were using a non-kosher ingredient and they got caught. Correct. Yeah. It's fear.
Yeah.
Actually, a loss of business.
A much more complicated story, but this is definitely one of the details that's relevant. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Safe base. Let's read the short mark. Safe base. Ein moichrim talis mitzuyetzas lo'oved koichovim. One should not sell a talis with tzitzis on, a garment with tzitzis to a goy. Shem islavim yisol b'derech v'yagenu, because we're worried that he's going to put it on, pretend to be a Jew, and then he'll go on a journey out of town with another Jew, and he'll that's the worry. Also, even to give a goy as a security, or and to leave the talis with a goy for a certain amount of time is a problem, even without selling. Also, unless it's just for a short while, then it's not a problem. There's the machlokes in the Achronim. The Mishabur brings the Chai Odom. If you read just the bottom line in the Mishabur, he says, "The letam shem islav lekel meichesh ashto, deinon chashudim ashvichas domim." He brings the Chai Odom that nowadays there's no problem. The goyim nowadays aren't. We're not worried that they're going to kill Jews nowadays, so therefore it's not a problem. According to the Adam, this will not be a problem. However, I saw other achronim who say that there is a problem.
Which 7?
So I was just reading the bottom line of the Mishnah Berurah.
It?
The middle of Sifkot and Zayin. It's just at the bottom line on the page. Just at the bottom line on the page. Brings the Chai Odom. Chai Odom to the end of the second last line. V'ayim b'Chai Odom. That this reason of that the Goy is going to get dressed up as a Jew and kill a Jew is not relevant, says the Chai Odom. I saw Achronim that says it is relevant. It clearly depends on where the Achron lived. There were places where it was relevant, places where it wasn't relevant. Nowadays it's not so relevant, though there have been stories. There have been stories here in this country of Arabs getting dressed up as Jews, and therefore I think definitely to be relevant where we live, not to give the Arabs Jewish garments. Definitely not tzitzis. I think. Okay. Let's move on to the next siman. Siman Chof Aleph. Siman Chof Aleph. Kudos ma la'asos b'tzitzis shenifseku b'talisos hashonim. What to do with tzitzis that have snapped and worn out garments. Right? What do we do them after they reach the end of their lifetime? Sif Aleph, says the Shulchan Aruch. Chutei tzitzis shenifseku yochol lezor kan la'ashpa. Mibnei shehi mitzvah she'ein b'gufa kedusha. Tzitzis strings that have snapped, he can throw them out into the garbage because it's a mitzvah. They haven't got any kedusha, they haven't got any holiness. Just to give an introduction to this, we have to explain the difference between tashmishay mitzvah and tashmishay kedusha. There are things that have holiness, either they themselves are divrei kedusha or they are tashmishay kedusha, they serve the things that have kedusha, of holiness, and the things that tashmishay mitzvah, things we use for mitzvah. When it comes to after the use, when they finish the use, there's a big difference. The halacha is that tashmishay kedusha and nignozim, tashmishay kedusha need geniza, they mustn't be thrown out, they have to put in geniza and shemus, whereas tashmishay mitzvah nizrokin me'ikradin. We're going to see that in a minute. There is a better practice, but however, me'ikradin, there's no problem to throw out tashmishay mitzvah. Once you finish using them, they have no holiness, one can throw them out. So tzitzis are mitzvah, they're used for a mitzvah, that's tashmishay mitzvah. All the kisvei kodesh, sfarim, mezuzahs, tefillin, those are all tashmishay kedusha, those are all divrei kedusha, and anything which is actually serving the divrei kedusha is tashmishay kedusha. If the mezuzah is wrapped in something, the mantle of the Sefer Torah that's wrapped the Sefer Torah, those things are tashmishay kedusha. In tefillin bag, right? The tefillin are kedusha. The tefillin bag is tashmishay kedusha. Tefillin box, the tefillin bag, they're tashmishay kedusha. So even when you finish using them, they have kedusha. They have to be put in kenizah. We're talking now about tashmishay mitzvah, things like tzitzis, lulav, sukkah, all these things that haven't got kedusha. They are mitzvahs, right? Okay. So me'ikradin then can be thrown out.
What's the dividing line?
Kedusha is where you have the
I heard that
the Shem Hashem. When you have the Shem Hashem written, the Shem Hashem, that's kedusha. Right? Tefillin have the Shem Hashem on it. Even the straps have written out on the box. You have on the bias of the Shel Rosh you have the Shin, and on the straps of the Shel Yad you have of the Shel Rosh you have a Daled, of the Shel Rosh you have a Yud. Shakai, that's the Shem Hashem. So even the Ritzus themselves spell out the name Hashem. They also have kedusha. Right? So anything which has the Shem Hashem, mezuzahs, Sefer Torah, they all divrei kedusha, and things that serve them are tashmishay kedusha. They serve the kedusha.
It's only if it has Hashem's name.
Right.
It's like, what's the status of a shofar? Someone mentioned.
So shofar is mitzvah. That's a mitzvah. That's a mitzvah. It's not kedusha. That's tashmishay mitzvah.
So someone mentioned when you're not using a shofar, it should be covered up. Is that I don't know if they were correct, but they seem to give a special cheshivas to it.
To cover up the shofar.
Maybe this should get asked.
Maybe
practical purposes. Okay, so let's have a look at the Mishnah of Katan Aleph. No, we haven't finished the Shulchan Aruch. Sorry, let's move on a little bit more. Again, we'll read again from the beginning. Chutei tzitzis shenifseku yochel lezorkin, you can throw them out, lashpa, to the garbage, maybe mitzvah, shein begufa kedusha. It's a mitzvah that hasn't got in itself kedusha. Avakozman shein kavuim betalis. However, as long as they are still on the talis. Also, however, while they are still on the talis, still in use on the talis, one should not use them, one should not tie anything with it or do anything else, because it's a bizui mitzvah, that's denigrating the mitzvah. While they're still being used for the mitzvah, they're still on the talis being used for the mitzvah, one may not do anything which denigrates the mitzvah. The Shulchan Aruch said that one can throw them out, just talking about afterwards, they're snapped, they're finished, they've touched the talis, now the mitzvah's finished, they're now not being used anymore for the mitzvah, now they can be thrown out. But while they're still in use, one may not denigrate the mitzvah, one may not use it for any other use.
We're talking here specifically about the tzitzit, not the beged. Is that correct?
We're going to talk about the beged, correct. We're going to talk about the beged in Sif base.
But right now when we say tzitzit,
now we're
we're
talking about
the strings
strings.
themselves.
Correct. Now we're talking about the strings. We'll talk about the garments in Sif base. Remember that the garment is going to be even less kodesh, less problematic than the tzitzis, right?
Correct.
Okay. Says the Gemara. V'yesh oimim, da'af la'ach ha'shenifseku ein linhag bohen minhag bizoyin d'zorkan b'bokan b'guna. Even after they've snapped, one shouldn't do a minhag of bizoyin. One shouldn't denigrate them, to throw them in a place which is denigrating for them. One doesn't need to put them in geniza, right, with all the other kisvei kodesh, but one shouldn't put it in a filthy place, in a place which is denigrating for them.
So what does that leave you as a choice? If you're not throwing it away,
Right. Not in the garbage. Let's say, for example, if we're discussing, if we talk about a lulav, for example, right? If one would put it at the end of one's garden, just put it on the grass there. It's not denigrating. Right? To put it in the garbage would be denigrating with all the dirty things. So just lays it out in the.
But if you wrapped it in something before you put it in the garbage, then you're protecting it.
To wrap it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd probably be not denigrating. V'yesh medaktikim legoinzon. Some people are medaktik to put them in geniza. V'hamachmir. Umedaktik b'mitzvahs tovel of bracha. Someone who's machmir and is careful about mitzvahs, a bracha should fall on his head. It's definitely a good thing to do, and therefore we try and do that. One should, if one can, one doesn't need to. However, it is a good thing to do. Tovel of bracha. One who puts the worn out tzitzit strings in geniza tovel of bracha, a bracha should fall on him. It's a good thing to do. Good practice.
Is there an issue about regard for space in the geniza?
I don't think in terms of tzitzit strings it's a problem. I don't think they'll take up. We're talking about the strings, remember?
Yeah.
The strings, it's not, I don't think that's a problem. Like we discussed this, all different articles that we used for mitzvahs are all included in this halacha. After they are the mitzvah, they don't stand, they're not used anymore for the mitzvah. Says the Mishnah Berurah cotton base. Let's move on. Let's have a look now. We've only got a minute or two left. Let's have a look at Mishnah Berurah cotton vav. Ein linok bohen. We said, the Umar says that one shouldn't put them in a place, even though one doesn't have to put them in geniza, one should not put them in a place which is denigrating for them, for example in the garbage. So too, the schach from the sukkah, the lulav, the shofar, one should not throw them in the garbage with all the other dirty garbage, because that is denigrating, that one shouldn't do. Prima Godim says this is even by the walls of the sukkah, this is the case. Even by the walls of the sukkah, not just by the schach, even the walls. Let's have a look now. Sif Kotum Zayin Nezorkon. God Saloma Biodayim, also Nezorkon Ashpachim, Metoich Shalogonzon, Nizukum Mele, Ein Lochashazeh. He shouldn't throw them actually with his hands, put them in the garbage, in the place where it's Maguna. But if he puts it in the place where later it's going to end up in the garbage, then he doesn't have to worry about it. That's okay. Right, so if he puts it near the garbage and it's going to be thrown out by the people cleaning up the streets, that's not a problem. Or if he puts it in a plastic bag, even though when it gets in the garbage truck it's going to be minced and done up with all the garbage, that's not his problem, that's okay. As long as he doesn't throw it with his own hand into a place which is Mugun. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sivkot Nechof legoim zon kosov ma'aril yaniach hatzitzis b'soich ha'sefer l'simen or l'ashes ben shul mitzvah to hold this avid b'hu mitzvah chad or yis avid b'hu achrita. The Ma'aril says that one should a good idea is to put the tzitzis, use it as a siman in the sefer, use it as a bookmark in his sefer, because seeing as he's already done one mitzvah with the tzitzis, it would have to be mekayim the mitzvah tzitzis. It's good to try and be mekayim another mitzvah to help him with his learning. So it's a good idea to put it with. That's the best use, to use it for another mitzvah, to put it as a siman in the sefer. Second best is tovel of bracha if he puts it in geniza. If he doesn't do that, then you can do meikra adin, in which he can throw it out, just to not throw it directly into the garbage. Okay, continue tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Oh, and Sunday is Lesleni. Sunday is Shabbat B'Tammuz. So we will continue Mitzvah Hashem on Tuesday. The question is if we should continue till we finish Tzitzis.
Oh, you were thinking of going to...
Or move over to Ben Amazon. It's quite tempting to try and finish Tzitzis. It should only take us probably 2 to 3
more sessions.
2 to 3 more sessions to finish Tzitzis. And then we'll still have a number of sessions on Bein HaMetzorim. If you prefer, we can go straight on to Bein HaMetzorim. Good decision.
What's your vote? I vote for finishing.
Me too.
Finishing? So okay, so probably take us another 2 or 3 more. Sure.
I have 2 more before I leave.
You have 2 more, okay.
Yeah.
So we'll try and finish. If not, then I may take 3.